2 years ago, I made a video about how to make a bunch of money with this little guy right here. And after 35,000 views and 2 years later, the #1 question I received is, Craig, are there alternatives? This little guy is kind of pricey with starting out. And guess what? The good news is, there are. And I'm gonna go over a couple options with you. If you didn't watch that video, my name is Craig. I've been in real estate media for about 3 years in April. However, my media journey did not start in real estate. It actually started with the Google Trusted Photography program. I became a Google Trusted Photographer back in 2015, back in 2016 or such. That's when I was a guy walking around with a one-click shoot camera, taking pano images of different places I went to, different places I ate at, different places I drank at, uploaded to Google Maps, all that fun stuff, created the virtual tour, and that's how I started to immerse myself in the virtual tour realm, if you will. And now, right around COVID hit, around 2019, 2020, I'm like, I want to jump into the real estate side using my knowledge with the virtual tour. And that's when my Matterport journey officially began, you could say, around that time period. And now, a couple things. I started, the Google Virtual Photography program was like a little point and shoot camera. Not this particular one. I actually started with a Insta360-1X. I believe that model is discontinued because I have a few updated models since then. But with the real estate side, I quickly jumped on the bandwagon and bought this thing right out the gate. And I'm gonna tell you, after 3 years, you don't have to do that. When I started, I thought you had to buy this big old thing to make a bunch of money with real estate. However, I quickly realized that is not the case, especially when the market is being flooded with different alternatives like this Ricoh Theta, like the 1X. Of course, you can still do it with a DSLR on a pano, all that fun stuff. But to answer the #1 question I get, Craig, do I have to buy that big old expensive camera? Are there alternatives? Yes. The good news is yes. And actually this week I have tried both. I haven't showed you the both one, so let me show you now. The best alternatives, in my opinion, an alternative to the Matterport Pro 2 camera is simply like a Ricoh Theta. Or of course you could use the Matterport Axis. Of course you put your phone here, put it on a tripod, you control it with the remote control connected to an app. And this little guy moves up, down, side to side, spins around, and creates a Matterport virtual tour that way. However, I'm gonna start with the Ricoh Theta. And this is one I just used most recently. Couple things to note, this particular model, this is a Ricoh Theta 360 camera. Not exactly sure the official name for it, but it's something like that. This camera is actually not fully supported by Matterport Axis in beta mode. I'm not exactly sure if that's going to come out of beta mode because I believe this camera is no longer supported. Ricoh Theta has a number of cameras and their point and shoot click line that works for Matterport just fine. And the one that I like the most is around 350 bucks. You can just go on Amazon, type in Ricoh Theta, kind of looks like that, Ricoh Theta. Just search it on Amazon and you'll be amazed by all the affordable options Amazon has. Of course, Best Buy has them. Or for a more trusted site, just go to ricohtheta.com directly or their official website to see what cameras they have. But for 350 bucks, you can actually get started at Matterport. And now I'm gonna dive into that a little bit. When I first started with this, I would not have dreamt of using a virtual tour and floor plan produced by one of these cameras, okay? From just 3 years ago, the technology has advanced so much to where now it's a lot more accurate. The quality is a lot more better than what it was when I started out using these little guys right here. And so I want to mention that because depending on when you see this video, depending on how much you know about the updated cameras, you may say, I thought you said before you wouldn't use the Ricoh cameras. Well, that was before. Now, since they're updated, I will gladly consider these to using on quick residential shoots. And I say quick because if the property's big, probably still using this little guy right here. However, I will prefer to use this one because it's super easy to use. And I say super easy because last 3 years, I'm primarily using this to create residential virtual tours, as well as using it to scan for floor plans. With the Pro 2, it only takes about 24 seconds, give or take, per spin, and for it to load on the iPad there. However, 24 seconds in a huge space, or a space with a lot of rooms, a lot of doors, a lot of doorways, etc., it can take a lot of time, especially with stairs. So anyways, trying this little guy out in a house, I was very satisfied with the results. Basically, you just put on the tripod here, and you walk around. You can control with your iPhone. I used a remote. You can just use any Bluetooth remote. And you just essentially click, 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 click as you're going through your house. Instead of using this for your scan points, you use this. Now, a few things to note with this as well. The scanning is actually quicker, but it seems longer. And I'm going to tell you why. With this camera hooked up to your iPad, when you press capture, at least on my device, you know, the circle goes around, it starts, you know, not filled in, and when it's complete, it's all the way filled in. However, with this, it's interesting. On my device, I press the capture app, it makes a ding sound, it captures it, it says end capture, it's still showing me, and then it says I can actually move. I just mentioned that because the capturing is quick. However, the time that it takes to tell you from you first capture the time you can actually move the tripod, I think is a little bit longer. However, in a 3-story home, that's a basement, main level, as well as a upper level home, I was able to capture the entire virtual tour in about 15 minutes. With the Matterport, we're looking more about 35 to 45 minutes, with stairs going from the basement to the main, and then stairs from the main up to the upper level there. So it all really depends on how you scan, how fast you can go in and out of a property. But for a complete virtual tour, it is faster than this. And now the tours are a little bit different quality-wise when you look at them, you know, really in detail. But for residential real estate, this is really all you need. I honestly feel for most residential real estate, these Matterport cameras are just overkill. Not only that, they are pricey, and the price for most residential real estate jobs, they don't compensate for what that camera, the scanner is actually worth. So I totally recommend as an alternative, like a Ricoh Theta camera. Like I said, they're around 350 bucks or so, but they work great. And not only that, the results when you convert into a floor plan are amazing. Of course, you can't convert a Ricoh Theta virtual tour into a floor plan using Matterport. However, there are third-party alternatives that you can use to get the floor plan from the Ricoh Theta scan. And now, the second option that I want to talk about, and I'm not saving the best for last here, to be honest, is actually the Matterport Axis. These things were like 60 bucks when they first came out. They could be about 60 bucks still. They came in a little case. Pretty cool setup, to be honest. Came with a case, a little Bluetooth remote that sticks here, but it's vanished, as you can imagine, because it's so tiny. But this is not bad. I bought this because it was new, so I wanted to try it out. But I've actually only used it twice. The first time I used it, when I first got it, took it out of the box, scanned my house. It was okay. It is super, super slow. That's one thing that I'm not a fan of. I'm all about speed. This little guy is slow. Even when you have it on like a, basic scanner such where it only spins in a 360 degree and not up, down, side to side. Still slow. And now another thing that kind of a little bit annoying there is the spacing. I'd be much closer than what I usually am with like a Ricoh Theta or of course this Matterport Pro 2 camera. I felt like I had to be, really close and around doorways. You had to do your typical outside the door frame, inside the door frame, after the door frame to really make it connect. And the house that I did it on was actually a 3-story house, basement, main, upper level. And it was horrible. I should mention, first time I did it, my house, single level was a basement. That was cool. But that 3-level house, I really realized that this is not good for, long-term use. I think this would be awesome for like real estate agents to throw it in their bag. And when they go to a listing, they put their phone on it and do it. However, still kind of takes a lot of time for it. I'm not exactly sure the main use for these or the main idea for Matterport when they came out with this, because, you know, granted it is 60 bucks and it's pretty easy. You know, you have to use a tripod, you have to put your phone. There's about a 3-minute learning curve to it, which is not bad. However, a Ricoh camera is like a 30-second learning curve. Put on a tripod, you just click and, you know, export the images as you will with, you know, like a phone or a DSLR camera. Pretty simple. So if I was to go, you know, starting out with residential real estate, you know, 3 years ago, I would now confidently say I would not have started out with the Matterport Pro 2 camera, mainly because starting out, cost-wise, it is a lot. But now, since being 3 years in the game, having a list of realtors that I work with and a very successful real estate media company now, I could say the quality produced by a Ricoh Theta camera is very comparable to the quality that you will receive from a Matterport. And if you're like me and like easy and fast, the Ricoh camera is where it's at. As always, if you guys have any question, you guys can click the message link above and send me a message. Please do not call me for Matterport help. I know it's fun. However, I'm actually a full-time, you know, real estate photographer, so I'm in and out all day. I think it's interesting when people do call me. I would love to help. However, I cannot stop my day when I'm hustling and bustling to answer Matterport questions. So the best way to reach me is by message, and I will gladly help you out from there. As always, keep Matterporting the world.